So I have these three young men here today because it's Catholic Schools Week, and I am a Catholic school graduate. I love promoting Catholic education. I was telling these young men, because they weren't really aware of it, I am from the north in Wisconsin, and everybody loves, not everybody, but Catholic education, Catholic churches are, normal, accepted, I guess popular. But the South, when I moved here, I learned that there's this anti-Catholic slant. There are people who think Catholics are not Christians, which some of these young men didn't even know that until I was telling them that. And so I'm like, of course we're Christian. We're the original religion. We're the one Christ founded. And so maybe part of it's our fault that we don't go out of our way as much to show people how much we love Christ. But we're here today to promote not only our Catholic faith, but our Catholic schools. So I just want to start out by asking you guys, do you is it just okay, your Catholic education? And I don't care who talks first, but whoever talks first, just say your first name so listeners know who you are and pull the mic towards you. You're loud enough, you're good.
Alright, so I'm Braden. I go at St. Mary's started St. Hampton. So I like Catholic education. It's awesome. I like to be close to God. I go to church as often as I can. I serve my church. But definitely at Catholic schools, they give you a better opportunity, I think, than public schools.
Opportunity to what?
Like, I guess to education, because in 8th grade and 7th grade, you get like high school credits for different classes. So instead of starting on an earth science in high school, you can take that in 8th grade and then go to
biology. Straight into biology.
Whether you go to public school or private school.
Okay.
Like in high school after.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you feel like you have more of an advanced.
Yeah, like more an advantage. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you like that though?
Yeah, I like it.
Because you like working hard.
Yeah, I like working hard.
Everybody talks about how much harder Catholic
Yeah.
schools are than public schools.
Well, I mean, it challenges you to do better.
If you had to pick, would you have picked Catholic school? Did you ever fight your parents in the beginning, like I don't want to go there, or do want to go? No?
I just went along with it and I liked it. I've grown up through it. I've been to St. Mary's since I was in pre-K 3, so I've been there my whole life. I've grown up there.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I loved it too. Well, who else? Either one of you guys?
Yeah, my name's Suds, and I've been going to Catholic school for about 5 years now. Originally, I went to a smaller Christian church or Christian school when I was in elementary school, and then I transferred to York Middle School, which was a public school. And after 2 years there, I didn't think that this was the good fit for me, so then I transferred to Peninsula Catholic, which starts in 8th grade, so I'm going on 5 years now. And I like the structure it gives you, and it's like very compact, small classes, so you get to grow with your teachers and you learn how to develop relationships with older people, which is going to help me a lot in college.
How do you do that? How did you develop? Is that something they actively taught you, or just something you've recognized?
Something I've recognized. They don't say, hey, this is how you talk to an adult. It's like with just experience growing up through, like, say you're 8th grade, you're really small, really scared of older people, and just by them being nice and open to you, you grow relationships with them. And then over the years, you figure out how to talk to them and how to grow relationships, and then base it off that. Yeah.
Well, I'll still give you a chance, Jeremy, but I'd like to build on that. What do you guys think? When I was young, and maybe we've got some moms in the studio as well, I was always taught, you respect your elders. I mean, that was beat into my head. And in the Catholic school, that was just implied as well. And we had nuns. And so there was no not respecting Sister Evelyn. I mean, you had to, right? So do they ever consciously in any of your schools talk about respecting elders, or would you say that that's implied? And if so, how? How is that implied? I mean, two of you are wearing neckties, and, is that something that I'm kind of crazy about, or is that... Because I've read about some public schools, and they have a lot of loss of control of their students, in many, not all, in many of the schools. How is your kind of respect for adults in these relationships you're talking about?
I would say it's not necessarily taught with the Catholic Church. It's a lot of tradition, and not necessarily a lot of rules, but like you know what to do and what not to do. And in these situations, you know that you're supposed to respect the elders. You know what you're like, yes sir, yes ma'am, all those kind of things when you go in. So.
Okay. Right. Well, then how about you, Jeremy?
I'm Jeremy. I've been going to Catholic school since kindergarten. Ever since I've been going there, I feel really close to God and my religion. As someone who went to public school before Catholic school, I can tell you that my experience in Catholic school is way better than it was in public school. Way more happy memories, and I just feel really great going here, Catholic school.
Well, I know that when I asked Liz, wherever she is, to help me get some good Catholic students to talk about it, let's just be honest, our listeners know that they always pick the cream of the crop. So you guys obviously love your Catholic education, but where are you with God? I mean, why? I mean, you mentioned, Braden, your faith, and that you like that you get to go to church, but some people listening might think, well, that's fake. His parents told him to say that. I mean, where are you guys with Jesus, and how has your Catholic education helped you with that? And don't be fake, just where are you? You're on a journey, so you're all in different places probably.
In every grade, from pre-K on up, we have, well, more so kindergarten, but we have a religion class in each grade, so it teaches you more about God. I've been going there since I was in pre-K 3, so I've known about it, and I've grown into church, and I feel really close to God. I mean, I know He's there. He's done a lot for me in my life through my family and giving me blessings and stuff, through just sports and things that I've done. But I really appreciate everything He's done.
Do you mind me asking about a blessing?
Yeah.
What's a blessing He's given you?
I would say probably.
I mean, you mentioned sports. Do you feel like you've had an access to sports or athleticism? Or I can come back to you if you want to think about
Yeah,
it.
let me think about it for a moment.
Okay,
I'm just
we'll do
trying to
that.
think. Yeah.
What about you guys? Where are you with Jesus, and how has your Catholic education helped you, or not? Either one of you.
With religion, like you said, you have religion classes every day, or at least for me, one semester. But it gives you a very safe and controlled environment where you know that your opinion will be valued and not just tossed away. Even for the non-Catholic kids there, they also have an opinion, and it's also thrown into the consideration pile when people are talking, because it gives them a different point of view of what they can believe.
Because my daughter, both my daughters went to Catholic schools, as did I. And one of the things that used to dishearten me, and it's still sad, is how many kids who graduate from Catholic school one day say, oh, I'm an atheist, or, I had that jammed down my throat, and now I'm going to, go live in the world. But then I find that over time they come back to their roots. So do you think there's anything in the school system that's making kids feel like, well, I'm just going to do what they tell me to do and then go atheist? Or do you think it's maybe just that person's path? Or what do you have to say to that, I guess? Because a lot of my moms listen and they're like, I want my kid to love Jesus. And I'm like, be patient. They'll come back because you gave them a good root. Does any of that resonate with maybe any of the kids that you go to school with? Do they say stuff like, I'm just doing it because my parents make it? Is there anything you could say to that, or am I totally off? Feel free.
Well, one of my friends, he is an atheist. He just
Don't say the
doesn't
same.
believe it. I'm
Okay,
not gonna say his name.
good.
He just doesn't believe that religion, well, not religion, but God's there. He just doesn't feel it yet. And I hope one day that maybe he will.
Do you pray for him? I mean, have you tried to talk to him about it, or do you just kind of let it go because he's in the same class as you are?
I don't really like to talk about stuff like that. I
Yes.
feel like that's his
Journey.
personal life, and he should be able to deal with it himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty wise. 8th grade, your mom raised you right. So, how about okay, were you going to say something?
No, I've definitely experienced people who felt like that. One of my friends, he was in the Catholic Church growing up his whole life, and he felt like it was pushed down his throat, like you said. And one day he just stopped believing. So instead of like trying to bring him back to the faith, like strong, I invited him to something what I do, Young Life, and I took him to a couple of clubs, and basically there we just chill, talk about God, and then go out Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And over the course of time, he started going back to church with me, and he's actually a really strong believer now.
So you are actually in that comment practicing your faith. I mean, you're actually going out. Now, you're a senior, Suds, you two are 8th grade, so I know we're all in the same diocese, so you two haven't made your confirmation yet.
No, not
but
yet,
you
no.
have.
No.
You have not. When do you make confirmation? Do they do it junior year, senior year?
Junior year, but it's all about preference.
Okay, so you have to wait till it's time when you're ready. All right. Well, I appreciate that. I just did a series on the air with Deacon Dave Reeves, who goes
Yeah.
to. Did you listen to it?
Oh no, but I saw a picture of it.
Yeah,
You
so-
were talking to him.
We talked about confirmation, and confirmation is kind of taking this Catholic education you had, and that's when you're like, okay, I'm ready, and you become a soldier of Christ, and like, I'm gonna go out. But what I just heard you do, Suds, was in a very loving way, soldier on. Let me take you to something godly and let the Lord do what the Lord does. So, anyway, okay, well, cool. So, what is your favorite thing about Catholic education? Or, oh, let's start with this. What don't you like? Is there anything you don't like?
Price.
The price? Yeah, but you
Yeah.
don't have to pay it. Does it
So-
affect you?
But I've had a lot of friends that had to leave the school just because of the price. A lot of good people that I know that I'm really still close friends with today had to leave the school because they couldn't afford it, and I feel like that's really sad.
Yeah, and I'd like to do a little public service announcement. I hope I do it right, but there is like the EISTC tax credit for private schools. We've done a radio show on it before, and anybody listening who would like to help send a child to Catholic education, to Christian education, oh, you got it right here? Excellent. We can help turn out good young men and women like this. Let me read to you. The EISTC program has been a very successful education program that has helped many low-income families all across Virginia. It's a program that's designed to provide opportunities to low-income parents simply seeking better school options for their children. We need to, and I'll try to find out more information maybe on the commercial break and say, but we need to contact our legislators, because specifically here in Virginia, they are voting on that soon, whether they want to take that away. But I will say that I received Catholic scholarship money myself when I was a child. We were the poor kids who couldn't afford it, and fortunately I went to Catholic school because in the 70s, if you attended Mass at that church, they paid 100% for your tuition. So that is the only way my parents could have gotten us. And then when I went to 8th grade, it was the first time that they actually started charging tuition. My parents couldn't afford it. So I said to them, well, then let's go to St. Casimir's, which was closer to my house because it was a little bit cheaper. And, I don't know how many other people would switch schools in their 8th grade year, but I loved my Catholic education. And my own children, I had to receive tax credits for. So I know exactly what you are saying, Jeremy. It's tough to think that a child who wants to continue getting that education has to stop because they can't afford it. So, again, I'll try on the commercial break to point you in the direction of calling your legislators and say, please, continue this EISTC program, because it doesn't help just Catholic kids, it helps school choice, any school choice, public schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools. So that does suck. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else you don't like? You pretty much like?
I like the Catholic Church in school,
Yeah.
so that's the only real issue I have.
Okay.
Not issue, but
I know what you mean though.
concern.
It is an issue. It is a concern. All right, well, what about you, Braden? Anything you don't like?
I'd say the only problem I have with Catholic school is probably uniform. No, I mean today it's our Spirit Wear Day, so like this sweatshirt, it just has our logo, but we wear it on Fridays and along with the T-shirt. Right now I'm wearing my 8th grade shirt that we made for our class, but I'd say that's the only thing I don't like. It's basically the same as his on Monday through Thursday. It's a tie, it's a tie with a button-up shirt and pants, and then we wear Bass Bucks. But I'd say that's the only problem. But
But that's not a big issue.
no, it's
If
not.
that's your only concern.
No, it's not a big issue, but
you
I
just
do.
don't like wearing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just don't like wearing them. Yeah.
My daughters complained for a while until they went to, where was it? Was it college? I can't remember. My oldest went to college. My younger daughter made Catholic education through 10th grade, and then she wanted to try out public school, and she's since regretted that. But we fought her and let her do it. But both of them said, we complained about uniforms, but it sure was easier waking up in the morning and not having to worry about what you're going to wear. You just put it on, and everybody else had it too. And she goes, now I'm like, I have to make sure I have nice this or nice that, or if this doesn't match, or someone's got more expensive clothes than I do, and I think it through. And so they, after the fact, appreciated the fact that they had uniforms. And so I know as moms, it was easier for us to just get this.
Well, they do have dress down days. Like today was a dress down day to wear pink.
I know you probably
And
can't hear that in the
awareness.
background, but that's one of the moms saying they are allowed dress down days.
Yeah, we have that as well.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all of them do. Yeah.
Yeah, most of it's to support a cause.
And
know,
you raise
we
money
do it-
sometimes for
and we
Dress Down
do
Day? You pay $1
donations.
and you can wear whatever you wanna wear?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to raise money for the Catholic churches. Anything you don't like, Suds? I mean, cause you said you went to Christian school, public school, and then Catholic school.
hmm The only thing I have to say, and you guys might not experience this until like you're able to take AP courses, but with private school, usually you have smaller classes. Smaller classes mean fewer people, which mean less teachers. Less teachers mean you're not able to take as many AP courses as you want, or just any other class. Like I couldn't take a math class because I had to fit it in with my other part of the schedule.
Right.
But it's a small dink, but that's about it.
I agree. My daughter Gabrielle, when she went to the public school, she said at the Catholic school I had to take physics, for instance, because they didn't have as many options, but she got to take oceanography at the public school. I mean, so there are some advantages, but and disadvantages. But you know what? Come on, it's such a great education. I
It is.
love it. Love it. So, what do you like most, then, or just like all of it?
We just like about Catholic school in general, or like
Yeah. What would you say to a kid who's not going to Catholic school? Maybe have you heard any kids talk about it?
Well, I mean, like at our school, we have a marine biology program, so we're right down there in Fort Monroe, so we're right on the water. We actually have a pier that we use for. We have a marine science club, so we go out there and we look at the shoreline and we examine things that are there, like the fish and how the water is changing and stuff. So we just it's a really blessing because I use it for my science project that I did this year. It was testing live bait versus artificial bait, but I used it for that, and it was really fun. I mean,
What'd you find? How's the live bait? Does it work better?
the
or is
live bait
artificial?
is the live bait is definitely the better choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, artificial. I only caught one fish on that. I did a 3-day trial. It was over the weekend. The artificial only caught one fish, but I mean, it was the biggest one I caught was about 16 inches. It was a red drum. But anyways, I'd say that's the best thing, and it's my favorite thing because I love fishing in the water.
Yeah.
So I love that.
What kind of live bait did you use?
Bloodworms.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
I mean, I like fishing, and I
Yeah.
don't have a problem putting worms on a hook, but bloodworms are kind of nasty.
Yeah, they have a little bit extra to them.
Just kind of sticking that
Yeah.
hook through them. Did you have? So is that optional? Do some kids take the marine biology and some kids don't? Or
Well,
was that?
you don't have to be in the club, but
Oh, that's a club.
yeah, it's a club. But for science, it changes. So it's like as you go through taking the class, you can go from like different parts of science, like different areas, like marine biology, and then you go to like
Physical science.
yeah,
maybe,
physical
or-
science and stuff. So it just switches out as you learn it.
So you've learned that you like something just by having those options to do so. I mean, that seems
Yeah.
fantastic to be
Yeah,
marine biology. That's my husband's college degree. He would have
Okay.
loved it.
that's what I want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Christopher Newport out there has a good biology program. I probably shouldn't say that since I teach at ODU. but I'm sure ODU has something fantastic too, but I know for sure that CNU does. So, what are some of the things that you like about it, Jeremy?
At Catholic school, we're all a family. No one's left out. Everyone gets a say, and we're all just happy together. Teachers, students, you know.
Are you saying there's no bullying?
Well, yes and no.
Okay, tell me about it. It's
Well-
aimed towards Mike.
We all try to work together for stuff, but of course there's always that one person who has to mess it up for everyone.
And when they do, though, I mean, I know how my Catholic school operated. Does yours do anything to make it into a lesson? Like, you know how Christ talked in the Beatitudes, or to the least of these or anything? That's what my Catholic school always did. The bullying, I mean, if it was there, it was squelched quickly because we're like, that's not what Christ would do.
Exactly.
And you find similar situations to that?
Yep. And then whenever someone does it, the teacher's always trying to find a way to like stop them or like explain to people why it's bad and why we shouldn't do it and come together and not fight each other.
Well, I really like that Catholic education allows a teacher to work with a child's conscience. Unlike public schools where we're supposed to have this supposed separation between church and state, we can say you have that conscience and, form it. Like, for instance, don't tell me you were never tempted to cheat, right? I mean, I think the temptation exists because Satan exists, but there are times where, like, I know my PhD, it was so hard. After several years of taking these classes, we had to take qualifying exams. And I went to Regent University, which is a Christian university. qualifying exams, basically you have about a year to study for this 2-day test you're gonna take. And so it's basically like saying, every single class you have in your academic career, we're gonna write a question about something you learned in there, and you have to write 2-hour essay question on each of those classes, right? So it's like, what did I learn in my theology class? What did I learn here? And you had a specific stuff, and it was overwhelming. We studied together. Starbucks made a lot of money on me during that season. And anyway, so when you come in on Thursday, you are handed an empty computer, and you can come in with a dictionary, and you're given 2 questions about 2 classes you took, and you don't know what those questions are going to be, and you have to type out your X number of pages, 4, 5, 6. So you're blind by the end of the day. You go to lunch, you come back, and then they give you 2 more questions. So we were practicing with these, and I remembered the pressure, because if I failed these exams, all that money, all that time I put into my PhD was gone. They'd say, sorry, you didn't do well. Thanks for your money and time, but you can't be a doctor. And I knew the pressure to me was just tremendous. And so we would go into this computer lab and practice. My group, let's just practice, let's give each other test questions. And
Quiz each other.
yeah, well, we couldn't quiz each other. Well, kind of, yes, we did. But we did this actual mock. Here, I'll write a question for you, and you got to come up with the answer. And so I remember thinking to myself, I could just save my practice exams on this computer, and unless they wipe them every day, it'll be there for me on test day if I need it. And I remember thinking that, and I thought, that is, and I was 40 years old. But I remember thinking, you know what? No. You could go to hell for this kind of stuff, right? But I thought, if I failed, then I failed. But if I passed, I'd be afraid that they'd catch me. Or B, would I go my whole life thinking, this PhD wasn't really yours? So the
Weight on your back.
Huh?
A weight
A
on your
weight
back.
on my back. Yeah, my conscience, my Lord, just saying, Christine, why did you do that? So I believe firmly my Catholic education, my family's upbringing, my love of the Lord is what really, because Satan touches us Christians too. But I think that is part of what saved me from cheating then when it was so tremendous. And just a quick irony, that is actually when I kind of learned. I had prayed for a decade. There was a prayer I prayed every day. I'm like, Lord, help me to be confident, but not arrogant. I didn't have a radio show back then, which, you can obviously tell I've got some confidence now. It's like, help me to be confident. And it was after we did those qualifying exams, then we had to go and meet in front of a board of your teachers and defend it orally. And they're like, okay, when you said such and such on this page, I didn't think I'd make it. And I was sitting out there thinking, these men are going to give me thumbs up or thumbs down, and then that's it. But the Lord came, and all of a sudden he sat next to me, and he said, why are you not confident? Without me, you're totally stupid. You know nothing. He goes, but with me, you have everything. And it was just that time I go, you're right. So I went into their room. It was similar to the studio. And I sat there, and I saw Jesus sitting in that chair next to me. And all of a sudden I was like, hit me. I got this, right? So anyway, that long 75-minute story was a lot to do with what I believe I was given in my Catholic education. They talked more about not just academics, but conscience and thought and decision-making and faith and how all that comes together to make me the person that I am. So in your time, how have you felt your consciences, your morality growing or being affected in some ways by your Catholic education, or have you not yet? 8th grade, senior, I'm hoping by this time something's pricked you. Who wants to take that one?
You go first.
Okay,
Wait,
go first.
so what was the question again?
Well, your conscience, is it being formed by your Catholic education, or is it just academics? What in your education do you feel, like me, where I was like, I'm not going to bully someone because Jesus wouldn't bully someone. I'm not going to cheat because that might disappoint God. I'm guessing that in your 8 years of education so far, that you've learned bigger lessons than academics. Not to cheat, not to criticize people, not to be unchristlike. Or have you seen that lesson taught to others?
Well, I mean, I guess like you said, without God, you don't have anything, because He gives you all that, your mind, so that you can remember things and learn how to do things. But
Have you been tempted to cheat ever?
yeah, I've been tempted to cheat.
Did you cheat?
I think maybe once.
Okay.
I don't.
But you have confessions, you
Yeah,
can confess
yes,
it, right? How did you feel?
Well, I felt guilty because, like you said, it wasn't really you that was answering it. It was somebody else that had already either done the answer or
Yeah.
you were cheating over on the paper. So I guess I mean, it's obviously sinful, but if we didn't have sin, we wouldn't have to do those things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, sin
because
is
you
what,
would know it.
mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Praise God for the sacraments too,
Yeah.
because then we can go and say, you know what, God, I did cheat, and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry, so. But maybe if, I know some kids that go to public school where they're like, no, everybody does it, it's no big deal, and I'm like, what? You know, so that's what I'm looking at, and I find in my Catholic education, that just wasn't even something that was, yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't tolerated. Anybody else, any examples of that or no?
I know of it. I can't recall any examples like
That's okay.
to mind, but yeah, it's definitely gives you a bigger sense of pride when like you know I did that, and instead of like oh I just cheated and I got it from someone else. So it like makes you respect your work and other people's work more because they value other people's work by like copyright, and they teach us all of that. They teach us how to avoid it because when I was in 8th grade, I just came into the school and I was doing like a little project, and I went to the website and just copied and pasted and put my stuff. Didn't know it was cheating until my teacher called me out and after class, and she was like, hey, you can't do this, this is cheating. And normally they would go to the honor code council and you'd be presented in front of like a panel of students and teachers, and then they would assess what you did, and fortunately they didn't make me go to that, and then I haven't done anything since, and that also helps you with like papers, how to cite them. So it helps you prepare for college, because if you are caught plagiarizing or anything like that, you're out. So
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that instead of throwing you under the bus, they gave you an opportunity to see the error of your ways,
Mhm.
change it, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But they, here's a good word, they gave you grace,
Mhm.
and that's something, Catholics are all about, so. How's about we take a commercial break? When we come back, I'm actually interested in if you think your Catholic education has affected your interaction in culture in any way, because we live in a culture that's not Christ-like, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You think we can go there?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go there. So, yeah, I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation with these three young men who they make me happy to think this is who's coming up into the world. But we're gonna take a commercial break talking about our promotion of Catholic Schools Weeks. I am Dr. Christine Bacon. You're listening to Breakfast with Bacon. I'm sorry if I put you guys on the spot, but hey, that's how I roll, right?
That's fine.
What are you thinking you would want to say so I can actually guide questions, directions that you like? And where's your water? Do you guys need water? Are you good? Good?
Excuse me.
Is there anything that you'd want to say that I should?
Can you repeat the question?
I always want to make sure that if there's anything in your head that you're like, I really wish people could know ABC. You tell me what that is, and I'll ask you questions so that you can say what you think they need to hear. Like, what would you want? What would you want out there? And if you don't have anything, you don't have to.
Can I
Do you-
suggest something? I mean, if you can tell me if it's
Yeah.
not appropriate, but a lot of people think Catholic schools are for Catholic kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
that.
I want them to understand, I mean, we're not Catholic. We come from a very strong Christian family background, but, I mean, I think
Who is that?
we are,
I was gonna ask you that too. Are you Catholic?
I'm technically Baptist.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, something struck me, and so, right, good, and that's what I
but we
wanted
were
to say.
raised, my kids went to Episcopal for 10 years, we're at Episcopal Christian school, so we have the same foundation. But, you know, I just.
And they have to take the Catholic classes. We don't
Right,
apologize
right.
for the religion, but you don't have to become Catholic.
Correct.
Right, I should have
Well, it's
stuck
really a
with-
theology class that they're learning about the Catholic faith.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not trying to convert them. We're just teaching them, like you have a history class that teaches you about history. Theology teaches you about Catholicism. And they have very engaging discussions because we have so many non-Catholics at the school that
What
they
percent do we have non-Catholics? Do you
Ours
know?
is about 40-60.
Really?
Yeah.
40% non-Catholics?
I
Okay.
think ours is 37. And we
So-
even had I think we had a Muslim
And we have
family.
a 10% international population, so they're not Catholic.
Right.
But they come in, so that's
good.
just adds
Well, then
adds to
what
the
else should we
culture.
add? What else do you guys want?
In the lower grades too, I mean, they have the theology class in the upper grades, but in the lower grades, there's a religion class that they go to
Mhm.
once a week. and they go to mass every week
Right.
Yeah.
in most cases. So it's not that they have to become Catholic, but they will learn about the faith,
Yeah.
and then
Same as
afterward they can decide what they want to do. But they have to go to those classes.
Right, and they respectfully practice the Catholic,
Exactly.
you know,
Right.
you know,
So
holy
what's
days of
your name?
obligation and all that stuff.
What's your
Yeah.
name?
Marnie.
Marnie, could I ask you why you send your kid to a Catholic school?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Over here, sit here,
yeah,
Marnie.
just,
Oh,
Robin, you can sit here.
So
And I was gonna suggest also you
No,
No,
like
but that's
for
important,
parents,
especially as a
yeah.
non-Catholic.
You
That's
put
a
your
huge,
son on the spot, you
that's
can
a
be on
huge
the spot.
message. That's a
Well,
huge message for
But
us.
it is, because I didn't really, I wasn't educated myself. I didn't even look at it as the Catholic at first because I thought it was all about Catholic. I want my son in a Christian school, and we don't have any in the Hampton Roads area that was available. And we
Well, and I'll
tried.
ask you too, you know, are you disappointed, are you happy with what you see?
You can, I will back you up, but it's really about you, son.
But it's about promoting Catholic schools, and you're
When
sending your
is it?
kid
Oh, no,
to
I'm
six.
good. I'm good.
Okay, and I hope you don't mind,
If
I'm
you
gonna,
want to talk about maybe community service or extracurricular activities that they do
Yes.
also, because some schools, you know, some families think that they don't have the sports, they don't have the
Exactly. Like the
community
public schools
service,
do.
like
Yeah.
public
It's a
schools
lot
have.
less.
What's your name? Maritza?
M-A-R.
M-A-R-I-T-Z-A.
Okay, you might have to grab them up. I'm gonna make an announcement, please don't think it's bad. You gotta, we're gonna live our faith right here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm doing a fantastic show. I'm not fantastic. I got some fantastic guests. We're talking about Catholic Schools Week. I am a former Catholic student. My kids went to Catholic school, and you know, I told Liz Allen here, she's a development director at St. Matthew's School. Get me some Catholic kids because I love promoting Catholic education. So I'm going to make a couple announcements. Well, the first announcements are all about me. If you like this radio show and you're enjoying this, or you want someone else, it's like you've been trying to talk them into Catholic education, send the show, go to my website, breakfastwithbacon.com. The show will be uploaded, and just forward the radio show to someone else. And I believe a couple of these Catholic schools are going to have it uploaded to their schools' links or websites as well. So forward the show, and while you're there, go look and see if there's other shows that you could learn from. It's not it's not a Holy Catholic radio show. I am Catholic, so I just got done doing a series on the 7 sacraments, and Deacon Dave Reeves came in. We did one show on baptism, one on confirmation, one on Eucharist. So. But we've had, you know, non-Catholic guest Protestants. We've done shows on marriage, and my book, The Super Couple, A Formula for Extreme Happiness in Marriage. It's doing so well. I just got a royalties check. I love royalties checks. They're really nice. So it's if you want to have an extremely happy marriage, it's if you're currently married, divorced, not yet married, single, you've got a child that's engaged, and you want them to learn what a true marriage is. There's a whole chapter I talk about what is love. Love the action, not love this feeling that society tries to say it is. The book is out in paper, hard copy, audio book. You can go to Audible, and that's the check I just got. Apparently, it's flying off the shelves. People love listening to books instead of reading them these days. So I'd be honored if you'd get my book, The Super Couple, A Formula for Extreme Happiness in Marriage, and send that to anyone you know who could use it. I actually interviewed extremely happy couples to find out what the formula was, and it changed my own marriage from extremely unhappy to extremely happy, and I praise God for those super couples who let me interview them. And lastly, this last announcement, okay, no, it's not the last announcement. I've got Catholic Schools Week. I got my announcement here. If you, oh gracious, I don't have that one with me, Liz, so Catholic Schools Week, just tell them what they need to do, where do they need to go?
Sure. Catholic Schools Week starts on Monday, and we have open houses on Sunday at a lot of our schools. To find out if a Catholic school near you is going to have an open house on this Sunday or sometime afterwards and during Catholic School Week or up through the end of the school year, please check out hrcatholicschools.org, and you can click on the blackboard that's on our landing page, and it'll take you to the south side and the peninsula schools, and you can look up a school close to you and see when their dates are. Also, if there is no date listed, you can certainly go ahead and call the school and ask for a private tour.
Which are lots of fun.
Yes.
Yes, my daughter used to be one of the kids that would escort the kids around and let them see the school. So thank you for doing that announcement. I thought I had it in front of me, but I have a more, a darker announcement I have to make. And so I thought, you know what, at first I was gonna ask a parent for permission to say it in front of you, and I thought, no, you're at Catholic schools, we need to know this stuff. Right now, tomorrow, there in Hampton Roads in Norfolk, Virginia, is going to be a satanic black mass taking place at a restaurant called the Poorhouse, Pourhouse. They're actually going to be desecrating, they have promoted on their website, desecrating the Eucharist. It's what they do in satanic black masses, and we talk about practicing our faith. And there is a Catholic Rosary Society there at 6:30 p.m. I'm going to be outside of the restaurant praying the rosary in front of this restaurant. And there's a Catholic church, St. Benedict's, which is also offering a holy adoration just during that time for the reparation of souls, to pray for those people who are trying to do this. I mean, these are people who are, this is an evil thing. And so, you know, if we're really living our faith, I thought maybe Suds was old enough being a senior, but you know, 8th graders, we gotta know this stuff is going on, because our culture is needing good men and good women like you to rise up and say, no more, don't do this to our God. So whether or not you're a Catholic or just, you know, non-Catholic Christian, everyone can pray. You can get information. I know you can go to LifeSite News. You can contact me, 757-343-0368, and I can give you information on it. But basically just look up Satanic Black Mass in Norfolk, Virginia, and we are going to come together as a community to promote the Christ that we are here to serve. And so, sorry if I had to stick that ugly and dark commercial in there, but we need to do this. We need to fight this evil. And I am going to ask you young men a question about your Catholicism and culture in a minute, so this is actually a good segue. But during our commercial break, I was asking, you know, what are some of the things that I need to say? And one of the moms reminded me of something I was going to do, so I have asked her, Marnie. Okay, so microphone, you're actually the mom of Suds here, this wonderful 12th grader. You are not a Catholic family.
No, we actually raised our children in the Episcopal Church.
Okay, so why did you send your son to Catholic school? Was it interesting to you? What are the reasons?
We have 3 children. Suds is our youngest, and we've raised all 3 in a Christian school. And when we looked at high schools, there weren't a lot of options in our area, and I really liked the foundation of what a Christian school gives to our students. So we went to Peninsula Catholic, and only because a friend told me you don't have to be Catholic to go there, we toured it, and we really found that it was a good fit for Suds, with the small classrooms, the relationship with the teachers, and again, the Christian background is what we look at as a family.
So we don't apologize. He has to take theology classes, but you are not required to become Catholic. It's not jammed down your throat. I mean, we don't apologize for our Catholic faith.
No, I look at theology, and we talk about it as a family, as a class, like you're learning. There's like a history class or math class, but I mean, it is about Christianity. So I mean, there's some challenges with it, but I think as a whole, I think he comes out of it with a mature outlook on learning more about another, denomination.
Another denomination. Yeah. So what kind of conversations? I mean, that's got to be interesting. With you're going to a school, a Catholic school, in your different religion. How does that affect your classroom conversations, and then actually conversations at home? I'd really be curious about that and keep them like closer.
It doesn't really affect it all that much, but it gives like other people, other Catholics, a different view on what other people believe and how they can respect one another without like offending someone by saying, "Oh, I believe this and it's my way or the highway."
Right.
So it gives everyone a different perspective on that. There's more than just like one denomination. They all have truth, and they all believe in the same God.
Well, they don't all believe in the same God.
Yes.
Right, like
yeah.
Muslims believe in Allah, who's not the same God as our God, but that's a different radio show. We'll talk about that. But right, I mean, so we have to be able to learn how to defend the faith that we practice, and I tell like my friends who are, Muslim or Episcopalian or Lutheran, I said, if you believe your way is the right way, you darn well better be preaching your way, because that's how you show true love. If you're like, well, I think my way is okay, mine is the right way, but I'm gonna let you do it your thing. It's like, well, why would you not care about me enough to want to, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I like. It must get you thinking. What about you, Marnie? Do you guys have any conversations that you're like, that's not what we believe, but I like what the man you're becoming?
Well, I think it's important, and we see this as Suds has grown into a nice young man, is that he is his own person, and as he grows and goes to college, we want him to continue to go to church and make that part of his college education. And the only way to do that is if they freely want to do that.
Right, you can't force them.
No, and I do see that he has a light about him that kids are drawn to, and whether it's because he is out there doing and acting as though, as a good Christian. You don't wear a sign around your neck saying I'm a Christian, but just your behavior reflects that, and I think people see that.
Yeah, there's a song we always sing. Do you guys sing it anymore in church? They will know we are Christians by our love. Yeah, you sing that?
We've seen that song a few times.
If you ever just think of the words, right, when you're singing it, they will know we are Christians by our love, not this uniform, not your, right? It's pretty cool though. Now, Maritza, right? Maritza.
From St. Mary's Diocese School. Yes.
So, again, thank you for being here. You had mentioned something you like about the Catholic schools, which is a community service component. Tell us about that.
Well, at St. Mary's Star of the Sea School, we also give students many opportunities to be part of the community, and by serving at their church, by organizing food drives, by having those out of uniform days to raise money for relief efforts for Haiti, for people who are suffering. So also we instill in them, how they serve God by serving their community. And in a way, they also, through these community service activities, they also, are exposed to the opportunity of becoming leaders, being leaders in the school, by allowing them these opportunities to organize these projects and visiting the homeless, cooking for the homeless people. For instance, we have the National Junior Honor Society, comprised of students in 7th and 8th grade, and they are selected for different kinds of community service projects also, and leadership opportunities. And also within the schools, the same teachers, for instance, like last year in 2nd grade, the teachers were raising butterflies. So the 8th grade students went into the classrooms and they helped, the younger students with different parts of the activity. And so we have a marine science club also. So what was happening at the school was that the older students were being trained with, for instance, dissecting a fish, and then the following day they would be the leaders in that activity with the younger groups of students. So one 8th grade or 7th grade was in charge of 3 or 4 students, and they would work with them on that particular activity. So they get lots of opportunities, to be role models also for the younger kids, and through the Prayer Buddy program, the Reading Buddy program.
What's the Prayer Buddy program?
So they get together, older students with the younger students, and they get together for reading activities, for some craft projects. If there's a holiday, or they may do Valentine cards activities together. They may read to each other. The 8th graders have come to work with our preschoolers, for instance, also on, we have a Montessori program going on in preschool. So each, we pair one older student with one younger students, and they work on an activities together for in their classrooms. So the older kids are, they see they are role models, and then the younger ones, they really see the older students
When they
as,
idolize them.
Oh yeah, they are, and they love to work with them. So there's lots of opportunities for that to happen at St.
Are
Mary's.
you a parent, or do you work
No,
at
I
the school?
work at St. Mary's. I work at St. Mary's. I do recruitment and marketing activities at the school. But I do also photography, so I go into the classrooms and I see how all of these activities and how all the children work together, and they're happy with the teachers, with the working with the older students. So it's really a blessing to be working there and seeing how God really makes all these kids have fun and work together and be nice to each other, and
The learning in
it's
Christ
a very, very
likeness and
nice
not exclusive.
environment. Yes.
That's wonderful to hear. Now, Jeremy, you said you went to the same school for 8 years. Yes, have you?
9.
9 years. But you went to
Including
St.
this year.
But you went to St. Pius, so you haven't gone to the school where they have the Big Brother program, but you nodded your head.
we have something like that where our older students will come together with a younger student and like do activities like we call it buddy day, and where we take the little kids to mass and we sit with them in mass, make sure they're paying attention, and then we'll come back to class and work on some projects or read to them, stuff like that.
So, did you receive a big buddy when you were a second grader? Did you have an older student buddy up with you, or did they not have the program back then?
The program, from my knowledge, just started last year,
Oh,
so I got to partner with second grade.
yeah, because I was going to ask you how you would have felt as that second grader, because I have little kids and I know, I have little grandchildren, I'm way too old for little kids, but they love looking up to the big kids. I mean, that's a perfect program, you know, whoever thought of that is, you know, amazing. And then, you know, how did you feel and then Braden, you also are part in that program at St. Mary's, right?
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel being like a leader towards these little guys? How does that affect you personally?
So the Prayer Buddy program?
Yes.
Okay, so, it helps me because by us leading them in 3 things, we have mass every Wednesday. Well, the 7th grade is usually in charge of it, but when they can't do it, usually the 8th grade comes in and helps, and we sit with them during mass. So the same like Jeremy. But yeah, we sit with them every mass and make sure that they're, you know, paying attention to the Lord instead of, like, you know, talking to each other and stuff. But I mean, you know, we let some things go either there, so but I think it really helps because it teaches them to be leaders. So when they grow up and they have a partner, they know how to lead them. And I mean, other people, they know how to lead, like, by example. Like if somebody's not doing the right thing, you can go over
Peer
and
pressure.
Say, yeah, go over
Yeah.
and say, bro, that's not right. So yeah, I think that's.
How does it affect you? I mean, because maybe you'd be slouching and all of a sudden like, dude, there's someone watching me. I've got to be more responsible.
I felt like that plenty of times. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of holds you to a higher level when you know someone's watching you.
Yeah.
Any of Braden? I mean, you are Braden. Jeremy, similar for you? Similar experience where you know that the kid's watching you? Does it affect you in your walk, your behavior?
Well, I've never been one to like truly mess around in church or in school. But yeah, when they're there, you know you have to step up your game and be the responsible one.
Mm-hmm. Do they have anything like that at PC? Besides? Anything similar?
They don't really have a specific like buddy program like they said, but we do certain things like that get the whole school involved. For instance, we have Rent a Senior Day, and that's for
tell me about that.
all the lower classmen get to rent a senior for like they bid on you or whatever, $1 or $2.
At auction, we used to do that.
And they can do whatever they want to. You can
Carry their books.
Carry their books. I've seen people dress up in crazy costumes. You can go out, get lunch for them, and they come back. But yeah, it just kind of like unites us as like a whole. And then you also see that throughout sports, the little freshmen and everything like that. They obviously look up to the seniors. So you just got to lead by example. Like I'm on the swim team. The younger freshmen, they look up to me to see like what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do in a meet, because other schools are looking at you and you don't want to set a bad example for your school.
And you touch on a good. What is it? Peer mentors?
Yeah, we
Tell us
also
about
juniors. We do peer mentors, which is basically you pair with the new students coming in, freshmen, 8th graders, and you show them around. I think this is the first day. Juniors, freshmen, and 8th grade come to class, and sophomores and seniors, they just stay at home and they come the next day. But the first day, it's supposed to be not so overwhelming, and you just throw the freshmen, 8th grade into the world and see how they do. But the juniors are there. They guide them through their classes. They answer any questions they have. They sit with them at lunch. It's just those like little kind of things that we do. We don't necessarily have a buddy program or what you guys do.
Yeah, that's still very similar because it's taking that leadership, and I'm sure the public schools do some stuff, but Catholic schools do it across the board, and that's what I love. This is, you're here to get an academic education, but you're here to learn how to be a man, how to be a servant leader, not just a leader. So, I mean, you're serving people as you're leading them. And captain maybe swim team, or just is she the captain? See, you guys send me the best kids here, right? So you know that there's a leadership role in being captain first and foremost, but do you think there's something different in this type of environment, knowing that, yeah, freshmen, sophomore, I'm kind of leading all of them, even if I don't have the captain patch on my Speedos.
Yeah, you definitely get that sense. Like, I have some other friends that that aren't captain like me, and they also have that responsibility of setting an example for the younger kids, and they definitely see that, because when I'm not there, they have to step up, and yeah, they definitely see that.
Mm-hmm. So when my kids went to Catholic high school, they had the volunteer program, or they had to do X number of volunteer hours. And so this might be more specific to the high school here at PC, Catholic high school, but they had, when my daughters went, they said, this is how many volunteer hours you have to do. You have to do extracurricular to do sports. They were actually grooming them towards college, because something like 98%, Liz, you probably know the numbers better, 90-some% of the students that go to Catholic high schools actually end up going to college.
99%.
99%.
It's very, very high.
Yeah, so it grooms them, and so volunteer hours where everybody can do them, it actually
And at
forces them
at
to.
St. Mary's Star of the Sea also, we are required for the students to complete a certain number of volunteer hours every year.
Yeah.
And,
So like for sixth grade, it's 4. Yeah, for sixth grade, it's 4 hours. Or yeah, I think it's 4. And then for eighth grade, I think it's 8, and with seventh grade, it's 6.
Well, what have you done? Have you done some of your volunteer time yet?
Yeah, I got my first one in, so I had 12 hours helping with at church. I read, so that, well, I serve on the altar, and I also read, so that counts into some of my hours. Most of my hours were altar serving, because I do a lot of that for my church, and I forgot what the other one was, but I did have a good amount of service.
And does it have to be inside the school, or can you do it outside the
It can be
school?
outside the school. It can be at church. It can be at in your community, like if you're cleaning up the neighborhood.
Right.
You know.
So various
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Jeremy, have you done any volunteer time yet?
Yes, I have. As Brendan said, I also do not remember what I've done this year, but I know Sunday I will be doing the open house, helping with that. So that does count as service hours. And for the grades, 6th grade does 5, 7th grade does 10, and 8th grade has to do 15 service hours.
Yeah.
So I have to get on that.
Yeah, well, that's what you have moms for. To help you. I remember helping my daughter do some candy striking at the hospitals and stuff. I'm gonna make sure I get this right. So we also, the Military Purple Star, is that St. Mary's, or is that Vanessa Catholic? Do you know what that is?
and St. Mary's Star of the Sea.
St.
We
Mary's
both
has it
of
too.
our schools.
So tell our
receive the
listeners,
Purple
what is
Star.
a Military Purple Star kind of accreditation that's for Catholic schools that are
Well, the-
especially,
The Purple Star program really affirms that we support the military families. So when military families come from different parts of the country, they, we know that they are, having to go through a lot of changes in their life, in their education,
Yes.
academically, socially. So there's a lot of struggle there for military families and a lot of adaptation. So this program really recognizes that our schools are making a very, particular effort and unique effort to help these families come into the Catholic schools, and we pair them with some other, students, so to ensure that they can, they can transition well into our school. Yeah, we have a Purple App Day, for instance, at St. Mary's also, where we recognize also the service of our military families to our country. So there are many activities that we do during the year. We invite, for instance, also our
well, let me,
military
for the sake of
parents.
time, because we got less than 2 minutes, so I just wanna make sure our listeners, again, know that this is Catholic Schools Week, and some of the great stuff you're talking about, they can get, again, by going hrcatholicschools.org, and find out what is a Purple Star school, this accreditation. Catholic schools aren't just a bunch of white kids, it's a diverse population, because, especially these military that we have, and because we have kids who are non-Catholic, In some schools, it's 40, 60, Catholic, non-Catholic, in some another, St. Matthew's, I believe, is 30, 70. So I just want to push out there that Catholic schools are for everyone. If you want to bring up a good and moral young man and young woman, send them to a Catholic school, and they will be prepared for what our culture has to offer. We have just about a minute left. Very quickly, if there's a kid listening to the show today, Suds, name one thing you'd have them do differently, or what would you want to say to him or her?
Be more open to it. Don't go in with a closed mind, because that's what's really going to hurt you. So I'd say just go in with an open
Open to it.
mind.
Okay. Either of you got anything?
Probably for me, well, like Suds was saying, you don't have to be all worried about, oh, you're not going to make friends or you're not going to get along with the teachers, because at St. Mary's they really help you to get in the program and stuff. So I'd say it's definitely very open.
Okay, openness. We got less than 30 seconds then, Jeremy?
Just don't be scared. There's people who will help you, and you shouldn't be scared.
These kids are awesome. I forgot to tell you on the commercial break how I end my show, so when I point to you, you have to say sunny side up, right? Okay, well, thank you guys for listening to another broadcast. Consider Catholic education. Let these kids be a testament to it's a great place to send your kids. Until then, listen in again next week. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. You've been listening to Breakfast with Bacon, and I want to remind you always to live your life. Can you say it?
Sunny side up.